Millionaire finds his pregnant ex-wife sleeping on the street, but when he approaches, Sebastian Sterling froze in the middle of the sidewalk when his eyes recognized that familiar figure lying on torn cardboard boxes. 2 plastic bags served as a pillow for the woman who had once been his wife, and the rounded belly under her worn-out blouse revealed she was already far along in her pregnancy. It was Eleanor, his ex-wife, whom he hadn't seen in 2 years. His heart raced when she slowly opened her eyes and whispered in a hoarse voice, "The baby is yours, Sebastian." The businessman's legs almost gave out. He had been told by her own family that Eleanor had moved to England with a new love shortly after their separation, but there she was, helpless on the streets of New York City, carrying a child that she claimed was his. "Eleanor, my God, what happened to you?" he murmured, kneeling beside her. "I never left the United States, Sebastian." "My family lied to you," she said, struggling to get up. "I found out I was pregnant 3 weeks after we separated." His world spun. For 2 years, he believed she had found happiness far away from him. For 2 years, he carried the guilt of having lost the great love of his life because of his business. And now he discovered she had been in the same country all along, struggling while carrying his child. "Why didn't you come to me when you found out about the pregnancy?" he asked, helping her sit up. "I tried," she replied, tears in her eyes. "I called your company dozens of times. Your assistant always said you were too busy to take my call. After a month of trying, I gave up." Sebastian felt a pain in his chest. Deborah, his assistant for 5 years, had never mentioned Eleanor's calls. How was that possible? "Eleanor, I'm taking you home." "You can't stay here," he said, taking off his suit jacket to cover her. "I don't have a home, Sebastian. I lost everything 3 months ago." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, go ahead and leave a like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing, he helped her to her feet and took her to his car. On the way to his apartment on the Upper East Side, Eleanor told him how her life had fallen apart. After the separation, she had moved to her younger sister Olivia's house upstate. When she discovered the pregnancy and her attempts to reach him failed, she decided to work to support herself. "I got a job as a receptionist at a veterinary clinic in Chicago," she explained, stroking her belly. "But when my pregnancy started to show, they let me go. They said it was budget cuts, but I knew it was discrimination." Sebastian gripped the steering wheel tightly. How had the woman he loved gone through all of this alone? "I tried to go back to Olivia's house, but she said she couldn't support me. I came to New York City thinking I could find work, but without references and pregnant," her voice broke. "Eleanor, I'm going to take care of everything now. You and the baby won't want for anything." When they arrived at his building, the doorman looked strangely at the pregnant woman in ragged clothes accompanying the building's richest resident. Sebastian didn't care about the looks and took Eleanor straight up to his penthouse. "Take a hot shower while I arrange clothes and food for you," he said, showing her the master suite bathroom. While Eleanor showered, Sebastian called Deborah, his assistant. "Deborah, I need you to explain something. My ex-wife says she called the office several times over the past 2 years. Why did you never put those calls through to me?" On the other end of the line, there was an awkward silence. "Mr. Sterling, I never received any calls from Ms. Vance." "Are you sure about that?" "Absolutely, sir. If she had called, I certainly would have been informed." Sebastian hung up, confused. Either Eleanor was lying, or something very strange had happened. But seeing her condition, it seemed impossible that it could be a lie. At that moment, the doorbell rang. It was Victoria, his fiancée of 6 months, a socialite from a traditional New York City family he had met at a charity gala. "Honey, I came to surprise you," she said, walking in with several expensive shopping bags. "I bought some things for our honeymoon," and Victoria's voice died when she saw Eleanor's torn clothes on the living room floor and heard the sound of the shower running. "Sebastian, who is in your bathroom?" "Victoria, I can explain. It's a complicated situation." "Don't tell me there's a woman taking a shower in here," she shouted, her face red with rage. At that moment, Eleanor came out of the bathroom wearing his robe, her hair still wet. Her pregnant belly became even more evident under the fuzzy fabric. "Who is this woman, Sebastian?" Victoria demanded, pointing at Eleanor. "I'm Eleanor, his ex-wife," she replied, maintaining her dignity despite the awkward situation. "Ex-wife?" Victoria turned to Sebastian with fury. "You never told me you were married." "We were married for 3 years. We separated 2 years ago," Sebastian explained. "And what is she doing here?" Victoria looked at Eleanor's belly with contempt. "She's pregnant, Victoria, and the baby is mine." The silence that followed was cutting. Victoria looked from one to the other, processing the information. When she spoke, her voice was icy. "If you keep helping this woman, our engagement is over. Think about the scandal, Sebastian. Think about what they'll say at the country clubs, at the charity galas. Your image and your business will suffer." "Victoria, she's the mother of my child." "Child? What proof do you have of that? She shows up here after 2 years pregnant with this story." "How can you be so cruel?" Eleanor interrupted, tears in her eyes. "Cruel is showing up out of nowhere to destroy a relationship," Victoria shot back. "Sebastian, choose. Either her or me." Sebastian looked at the 2 women. On one side, his fiancée, representing the social and professional stability he had built. On the other, the woman he had loved deeply, carrying what could be his child in a desperate situation. "Victoria, I need time to sort this out." "Time?" She laughed bitterly. "You have until tomorrow morning to decide. If she's still in your life, I want nothing more to do with you." Victoria stormed out, slamming the door, leaving a painful echo in the silent apartment. "I'm so sorry, Sebastian. I didn't mean to cause problems in your relationship," Eleanor said, wiping away her tears. "You didn't cause anything. The situation is just complicated. Maybe I should leave. I'll find a place to stay." "Absolutely not. You're pregnant and broke. I'll take you to a hotel, at least until we figure out a solution." The next day, Sebastian set Eleanor up in a modest hotel in the downtown area. It wasn't luxurious, but it was clean and safe. He wanted something better, but she had insisted she wouldn't accept anything too expensive. "Eleanor, at least let me give you some financial support so you can get by," he insisted. "I don't want your charity, Sebastian. It's already too much that you're paying for the hotel." "It's not charity, it's responsibility. If the baby is mine—" "If—" she interrupted, hurt. "Sorry, I didn't mean it that way. It's just, I'm still processing everything." During the following week, Sebastian visited Eleanor every day. He brought food, medicine, and tried to convince her to accept more help. She was visibly undernourished and weak, which worried him deeply. "Eleanor, you need to have a full prenatal checkup. I'll schedule an appointment with the best obstetrician in the city." "Sebastian, I can't afford. I'll pay for it. It's the least I can do." At the medical appointment, Dr. Harrison Miller, a respected obstetrician, performed a complete evaluation of Eleanor. After the tests, he called Sebastian in for a private conversation. "Mr. Sterling, I need to be frank. The pregnancy is at risk. Your ex-wife shows signs of severe malnutrition and deep anemia. The baby's development is below what's expected for the gestational age." Sebastian's heart raced. "What does that mean?" "It means she's been through a lot of stress and deprivation over the past few months. If we don't take immediate action, we could have serious complications during delivery." "What needs to be done?" "She needs complete bed rest, proper nutrition, vitamin supplements, and strict medical monitoring. And above all, she needs emotional peace." Sebastian returned to the room where Eleanor was waiting, his heart heavy with guilt. If he had known sooner, if her calls had reached him, none of this would have happened. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, go ahead and leave a like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us who are just getting started. Now continuing. That night, Sebastian barely managed to sleep. The next day, he was at his company when Deborah, his secretary, knocked on his office door with a worried expression. "Mr. Sterling, there's a woman here who says she's your ex-wife's sister. She insists on speaking with you." "Send her in." A blonde woman, visibly nervous, walked into the room. Sebastian recognized her immediately. It was Olivia, Eleanor's younger sister. "Sebastian, I need to talk to you about my sister," she said without beating around the bush. "Olivia, where have you been all these months? Eleanor told me you couldn't help her. The woman lowered her head, clearly ashamed. I lied, Sebastian. To her and to you. What do you mean? When Eleanor came to my house pregnant, I was jealous. I've always been envious of your marriage. She had everything. A rich husband, a good life, true love. Sebastian stood up from his chair, incredulous. Are you telling me you drove your own pregnant sister away out of jealousy? I thought that if she disappeared from your life, maybe I'd have a chance with you. I've always liked you, Sebastian, ever since before your wedding. My God, Olivia, how could you do this? That's not all, she continued, tears in her eyes. When you two separated, I was the one who spread the story that she had moved to England with another man. Sebastian felt the world collapse around him. All the lies, all of Eleanor's suffering, had been orchestrated by her own sister. Why are you telling me this now? Because I found out she's in need out on the streets. Because I know she's pregnant and in danger. I never imagined it would come to this. You destroyed your sister's life on a whim. I know, and I regret it every day. Please take care of her. She always loved you, even when she thought you didn't want her anymore. After Olivia left, Sebastian called Deborah back in. Deborah, I want you to review all the call records from the past 2 years. Look for any contact attempts from Eleanor Sterling, my ex-wife. Sir, I really don't remember. Deborah, this is very important. A person's life is at stake. A few hours later, Deborah returned with a guilty expression. Mr. Sterling, I found something strange in the records. What? There are several notes about calls from someone named E. Vance in the first few months after your separation, but the notes say irrelevant business call and pushy salesman. Sebastian took the notes from her hands. There were more than 15 calls recorded, all marked as irrelevant. Deborah E. Vance was Eleanor Vance, my ex-wife. The secretary's face went pale. Sir, I swear I didn't know. The calls were always screened by the telemarketing company that filters your calls. They said he was a salesman. What company? CallGuard. They've been screening all your calls for 3 years. Sebastian immediately called CallGuard and demanded to speak to a supervisor. After a quick investigation, he discovered something shocking. Someone had added Eleanor's name to the blocked call list, classifying her as a persistent salesperson who should be discouraged. Who authorized this addition? He asked. According to our records, it was requested by Mrs. Victoria Harrington, who identified herself as your fiancée and said she had permission to manage your personal calls. Sebastian hung up the phone, feeling a growing rage. Victoria had sabotaged any possibility of Eleanor reaching him. For 2 years, his fiancée had manipulated the situation. Immediately, he went to the hotel where Eleanor was staying. Eleanor, I found out why your calls never reached me, he said, stepping into the small room. She was lying on the bed, her face pale and tired. Victoria had your calls blocked. She knew you were trying to reach me and prevented any contact. Your fiancée did that. Eleanor sat up slowly on the bed. Ex-fiancée. I broke up with her this morning. Sebastian, you didn't have to do that for my sake. It wasn't for your sake, it was for me. I can't be with someone capable of such cruelty. At that moment, Sebastian's phone rang. It was an unknown number. Sebastian Sterling? Said a woman's voice on the other end. Yes. Who's speaking? I'm Martha Vance, Eleanor's mother. I need to speak with you urgently. Mrs. Martha, Eleanor told me you had died? Another one of Olivia's lies. I'm alive and I know everything my youngest daughter did. Can I come over? An hour later, a woman with grey hair and gentle eyes knocked on the door of the hotel room. Eleanor began to cry as soon as she saw her mother. Mom, I thought you had... Shh, my child. Olivia told me you had moved abroad and didn't want any more contact with the family. I believed her. Martha turned to Sebastian with a serious expression. My son-in-law, there are some things you need to know. Eleanor hasn't been struggling for just 3 months. She's been homeless for almost a year. A year? Sebastian looked at Eleanor, shocked. She worked 3 different jobs to support herself, but she always ended up getting fired when the pregnancy started to show. She spent nights sleeping in shelters, in parks, eating once a day to save money for the baby. "Eleanor, why didn't you tell me this?" Sebastian asked. "Because I didn't want your pity," she answered, crying. "It's not pity, it's love. It's always been love," Martha continued. "She came to me 2 months ago, but I was hospitalized with pneumonia. When I got better and went looking for her, Olivia said she had disappeared. Only yesterday did I discover the truth when I found some papers in Olivia's room." The woman pulled several handwritten letters from her purse. "These are letters Eleanor wrote to you, Sebastian. Olivia intercepted all of them. She also intercepted the letters you sent to my daughter after the separation." "What letters?" Eleanor asked. Sebastian took the letters from Martha and recognized his own handwriting. There were 5 letters he had written in the first months after the separation, asking for forgiveness and begging for a second chance. "Eleanor, I wrote these letters to you. I never understood why you didn't reply." "I never received any letter from you," she murmured, taking the letters with trembling hands. As Eleanor read the letters, tears streamed down her face. In every line, Sebastian expressed his love, his regret, and his willingness to fight for the marriage. "If I had received these letters," she sighed. "Olivia destroyed your lives out of selfishness," Martha said bitterly. "But now we can make things right." That night, Sebastian transferred Eleanor to a better hotel, with a suite and room service. She finally accepted his help, realizing she needed to think about the baby. "Sebastian, there's something you need to know," she said as they dined in the room. "Even after everything I've been through, I never stopped loving you. When I found out about the pregnancy, the first thing I thought was how happy you'd be to become a father. And I'm going to be the best father in the world to our child," he promised, kissing her forehead. "Are you sure this is what you want? Your life has changed. You have a company to run. Social commitments. Eleanor, my life only makes sense with you and our baby in it." In the following days, Sebastian personally took care of every detail of Eleanor's treatment. He hired a private nurse, made sure she had 3 nutritious meals a day, and took her to regular medical appointments. Dr. Harrison was impressed with her rapid improvement. "It's amazing how the body responds when the mind is at peace," he commented to Sebastian. "She's gaining weight back, the anemia is improving, and the baby is growing normally again. Doctor, when will the DNA test be possible?" "After birth, but I can tell you now that based on the pregnancy calculations and her information, there's a high probability that you're the father." Sebastian smiled. Deep down, he already knew the baby was his. A week later, while visiting Eleanor, she showed him something that moved him deeply. A small notebook with a worn cover. "What's this?" "My pregnancy diary. I started writing it when I found out I was expecting our child." She opened the notebook and read a few pages aloud. "Day 45. I found out today that I'm pregnant. My heart is broken, but at the same time full of hope. I know Sebastian will be happy when he finds out. Day 62. I tried to call him again today. The receptionist was polite but said he was in a meeting. I'll try again tomorrow. Day 89. Maybe he doesn't want to talk to me. Perhaps it's better for me to raise our baby on my own. Day 156. I lost my job today. I'm scared, but our baby gives me the strength to keep going. Day 203. I slept in the park last night. It was raining. I promised our child that I'll find a solution." Sebastian was crying as he listened. Each page revealed Eleanor's silent struggle, always thinking about the baby's well-being, always hoping that one day he would know the child existed. "Eleanor, how were you able to be so strong? My love for our child gave me strength, and my love for you, even thinking you didn't want me anymore." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, go ahead and leave a like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot since we're just starting out. Now continuing. That afternoon, Sebastian was surprised by a call from Victoria. "Sebastian, we need to talk," she said, her voice tense. "Victoria, we have nothing left to talk about. I have information about your ex-wife that you need to know." "What kind of information?" "I'd rather tell you in person. Can I come to your office?" Against his better judgment, Sebastian agreed. Victoria arrived an hour later, elegant as always, but with a worried expression. Sebastian, I heard you're supporting that woman. Eleanor has a name, Victoria. And yes, I'm taking care of the mother of my child. How can you be sure the baby is yours? I'm sure because I trust her. Even after she disappeared for 2 years? Even after she made up that whole story about calls that never reached you? Sebastian stood up from his chair, irritated. Victoria, I was the one who found out that you had her calls blocked. Stop lying. Fine, I'll be direct, she said, pulling some photos from her purse. I hired a private investigator to follow your ex-wife. The photos showed Eleanor in different places, talking to a man at the door of a shelter, receiving food from a lady, sleeping on a park bench. So what? She was homeless. That only confirms what I already knew. Take a closer look. Victoria pointed to one of the photos where Eleanor was talking to a young man. My investigator found out that she had a relationship with this young man 8 months ago. Sebastian's heart raced. If this were true, maybe the baby wasn't his after all. Who is this man? A volunteer at the shelter where she stayed for a few weeks. According to the investigator, they got very close. Sebastian looked at the photos more carefully. Indeed, Eleanor and the young man seemed intimate in some of the images. Victoria, why are you showing me this? Because you deserve to know the truth before you ruin your life over a woman who might be deceiving you. Sebastian put the photos in his pocket, feeling confused and betrayed. Could Eleanor really be lying about everything? That night, he went to Eleanor's hotel with a heavy heart. Eleanor, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with me. Of course, Sebastian. What is it? Did you have other relationships during these 2 years? Her face turned red. Why are you asking me this? Just answer, please. There was someone, yes, but it wasn't serious. Sebastian felt the world collapse again. When? About 8 months ago. He was a volunteer at the shelter where I was staying. He was kind to me. He helped me. Eleanor, is there any possibility that this man is the father of the baby? She looked at him with tears in her eyes. How can you ask that? Just answer. Sebastian, are you doubting me? I'm trying to understand the situation. The situation is simple. I love you. I've always loved you. And this baby is yours. How can you doubt that after everything we've been through? Eleanor, I saw photos of you with this man. You two looked very close. What photos? She asked, confused. Sebastian showed her the photos that Victoria had given him. Eleanor examined them carefully and then began to laugh through her tears. Sebastian, this man's name is Christopher. He's gay and was dating another volunteer at the shelter. He helped me because he saw that I was pregnant and alone. Pregnant? But that was 8 months ago. Exactly. I was already 5 months pregnant when I met Christopher. He gave me rides to my medical appointments because I couldn't afford transportation. Sebastian felt like an idiot. How could he have doubted Eleanor based on Victoria's manipulations? Forgive me, Eleanor. Victoria showed me those photos and You believed her instead of believing me, Eleanor said, hurt. No, I was just confused. It's been a lot of information to process. Sebastian, if you don't trust me, maybe it's better if we each go our own way. No, Eleanor, I trust you. Will you forgive me for doubting you? She hugged him and they cried together. Later, Sebastian called the shelter and confirmed Eleanor's story. Christopher really was a volunteer, really was gay, and really had helped several women in vulnerable situations. The next day, Sebastian confronted Victoria in her office. Victoria, your photos proved nothing except that you are a manipulative and cruel person. Sebastian, I was only trying to protect you. No, you were trying to manipulate me, just like you manipulated Eleanor's calls, just like you've been trying to control my life since we met. You're making a mistake, Sebastian. That woman is going to destroy your reputation. My reputation? Victoria, do you know what really destroys a person's reputation? A lack of character. And after everything you've done, I can clearly see who lacks character here. Victoria left the office furious, but Sebastian felt free for the first time in months. 2 weeks later, during a routine checkup, Dr. Harrison gave some concerning news. Eleanor, I need to admit you. The baby is starting to move less than he should, and your blood pressure is climbing." "Doctor, is this serious?" Sebastian asked, holding Eleanor's hand. "It could be the start of preeclampsia. We're going to monitor you closely, but there's a chance we may need to deliver early." Eleanor was admitted that same afternoon. Sebastian didn't leave her side for the next 3 days, sleeping in an uncomfortable chair in the hospital room. "Sebastian, you should go home and rest," she said. "I'm not leaving here until our son is born." "And what if he's not your son?" she asked, touching her belly. "He is my son," he said with conviction. "Even if a DNA test says otherwise, he's my son." "How can you be so sure?" "Because I already love this child, just like I love you. You two are my family, no matter what any test says." On the 3rd day of her stay, Eleanor began having strong contractions in the middle of the night. "Sebastian, I think it's time," she said, squeezing his hand. Dr. Harrison was called in and confirmed she was in labor. "Everything's going to be fine," Sebastian whispered in her ear as she worked through the contractions. The delivery was difficult. After 8 hours of intense labor, they finally heard the baby's first cry. "It's a boy," Dr. Harrison announced, holding the child up. Sebastian cried harder than he ever had in his life. When the doctor placed the baby in Eleanor's arms, she smiled through her tears. "Hi, my love," she whispered to her son. "That's your daddy." Sebastian took the boy in his arms and felt an immediate connection. The baby had his eyes and Eleanor's nose shape. "What are we going to name him?" Sebastian asked. "Theodore," Eleanor answered. "I've always dreamed of having a son named Theodore." "Theodore Sterling," Sebastian said, kissing the baby's forehead. Dr. Harrison approached with a serious expression. "Folks, the baby is doing well, but he'll need to stay in the neonatal ICU for a few days. He was born a bit premature and needs to gain weight." Over the following days, Sebastian and Eleanor took turns by Theodore's incubator. The boy was small but strong, fighting to grow. "He's a little fighter, just like his mother," Sebastian remarked, watching the baby move in the incubator. "He's got his father's stubbornness," Eleanor replied, smiling. During one of the visits, Martha showed up with a surprise. Olivia was with her, visibly remorseful. "Eleanor, I came to ask for your forgiveness," Olivia said, crying. "I know I don't deserve it, but you need to know how sorry I am for everything I did." Eleanor looked at her sister for a long moment. "Olivia, you almost destroyed my family. You put me through hardship during my pregnancy. You put my son at risk. I know, and I'll carry that guilt for the rest of my life. But you're my sister," Eleanor continued, reaching out her hand. "And Theodore needs to know his aunt." The sisters embraced, and even Sebastian was moved by the scene. "Olivia," he said, "I hope you've learned something from all this. I learned that love can't be won with lies and manipulation. I learned that envy only brings destruction." A week later, Theodore was finally released from the neonatal ICU. He was a healthy 3-kilogram baby, with alert eyes and a strong little cry. Sebastian had prepared a surprise for Eleanor. Instead of taking them to his luxury apartment, he had bought a simple but cozy house in a quiet neighborhood. "Sebastian, what is this place?" Eleanor asked when the car stopped in front of the house. "Our home," he replied, handing her the keys. "Our home." "Eleanor, I don't want you to feel obligated to anything. I don't want you to come back to me out of gratitude or because of Theodore. I want us to build something new, something based on truth and trust. What are you proposing?" "That we start over from scratch. May we get to know each other again. May we date anew. May we build our family in our own time." Eleanor kissed him tenderly. "Sebastian Sterling, would you like to be my boyfriend?" she asked playfully. "Eleanor Vance, it would be an honor to date you," he replied, laughing. They walked into the house holding hands, carrying Theodore. It was a 3-bedroom house with a small but well-kept garden, a cozy living room, and a kitchen that fit a family table. "It's perfect," Eleanor said, looking around. "It's not a palace, but it's our home." In the following month, Sebastian and Eleanor truly rebuilt their relationship. He continued running his company, but his priorities had changed. He came home every day at 6 in the evening to have dinner with his family. Theodore was growing healthy and happy. At 6 months, he was already crawling around the house, exploring every corner. "Daddy," was his first clear word, at 8 months. Sebastian was at the office when Eleanor called to tell him. "He spoke, he said, 'Daddy,'" she shouted into the phone, emotional. Sebastian dropped everything and rushed home. When he arrived, Theodore was in his crib, and upon seeing his father, he stretched out his little arms and repeated, "Daddy, Daddy." "My son," Sebastian said, scooping him up. "Daddy's here." A year after Theodore's birth, Sebastian made an important decision. He wanted to formalize the family they had built, but not in the traditional way. "Eleanor, there's something I want to tell you," he began one night after Theodore had fallen asleep. "What is it?" "I want to marry you again." Eleanor smiled, but there was something in her expression that intrigued him. "Sebastian, I want that too. But there's something you need to know first." "What?" "I'm pregnant again." Sebastian was in shock for a few seconds, then started laughing and crying at the same time. "Really?" "I found out this morning. I'm 6 weeks along." He picked her up and spun her around the room. "Another baby. Our family is growing. Are you happy?" "I'm the happiest man in the world." They got married 2 weeks later, in a simple ceremony at home, with only family and a few close friends. Theodore, now a year and a half old, was the ring-bearer, carrying the rings on a small pillow. Martha officiated the ceremony as the celebrant, and even Olivia was there, now truly part of the family again. "Sebastian Sterling, do you take Eleanor to be your wife, to love her and respect her in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health, until death do you part?" Martha asked. "I do, and I promise never again to let lies and manipulation tear us apart." "Eleanor Vance, do you take Sebastian to be your husband, to love him and respect him in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health, until death do you part?" "I do, and I promise to always trust in our love, even in the hardest moments." When they kissed, Theodore clapped his little hands, making everyone laugh. Eleanor's second pregnancy was smooth. She was well-nourished, stress-free, attended by the best doctors, and above all, loved and cared for. "This time it's a girl," Dr. Harrison Miller announced during the 5th-month ultrasound. "A girl!" Eleanor cried out, squeezing Sebastian's hand. "What should we name her?" he asked. "Beatrice," Eleanor answered immediately. "I've always wanted a daughter named Beatrice." "Beatrice Sterling," Sebastian repeated, smiling. Beatrice was born in an easy delivery, right on time, weighing 7.5 pounds. She was a rosy baby, with lots of dark hair and Eleanor's eyes. "Now our family is complete," Sebastian said, holding Beatrice in his arms while Theodore played at his feet. "It truly is," Eleanor agreed, nestled in his arms. During those years of rebuilding, Sebastian had also transformed his company. Inspired by Eleanor's story, he created a support program for pregnant women in vulnerable situations. The program offered temporary housing, medical assistance, vocational courses, and psychological support. Eleanor coordinated the project, transforming her painful experience into hope for other women. "How many women have we helped?" Sebastian asked at a program meeting. 237, Eleanor answered proudly. "And 82 babies were born healthy. That's incredible." "You know what's even more incredible?" she said, taking his hand. "It's seeing how our pain turned into purpose." Victoria, curiously, also changed after the events. She lost many high society friends when the truth about her manipulations spread. Eventually, she sought Sebastian out to apologize. "Sebastian, I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I wanted you to know that I deeply regret it," she said, at a casual encounter at a cafe. "Victoria, what you did nearly destroyed a family." "I know. I've been in therapy trying to understand why I acted that way. The psychologist says it was fear of not being good enough, of being abandoned. That doesn't justify your actions." "It doesn't justify them, but it helps me understand. I hope that one day you and Eleanor can forgive me." Sebastian looked at her with a mixture of pity and understanding. "Victoria, we've already forgiven you. What you need now is to forgive yourself and become a better person." "That's what I'm trying to do." 2 years later, on a sunny Saturday, Sebastian was in the home garden playing with Theodore, now 3 years old, and Beatrice, 1 year old. Eleanor was preparing lunch in the kitchen, humming a tune. "Daddy, do you love Mommy?" Theodore asked out of nowhere. "I love her very much, son." "Why?" "Because she smiles when you come home." Sebastian smiled, touched by the boy's innocence. "And you, do you like it when Daddy comes home?" "I do. Then we play together." Beatrice, who was still crawling, approached and tried to speak. "Da, da." "She's trying to say Daddy," Theodore shouted, running to call Eleanor. "Mommy, Beatrice is going to say Daddy." Eleanor came out of the kitchen drying her hands, and everyone gathered around Beatrice. "Say it, my princess," Sebastian encouraged. "Daddy, Daddy," Beatrice said clearly, reaching out her little arms. Everyone celebrated as if it were the greatest achievement in the world. "You know something, Sebastian?" Eleanor said, hugging him from behind while he played with the children. "What?" "Sometimes the worst things that happen to us are necessary to get to the best things in our lives." "What do you mean?" "If we hadn't separated, if I hadn't gone through all of that, maybe we'd never know how much we truly love each other. Maybe we'd never have created our help program. Maybe we'd never have built such a solid family." Sebastian turned around to kiss her. "You're right. Our love grew stronger because it was tested. And our family is more united because we fought for it." That night, after the children fell asleep, Sebastian and Eleanor sat on the living room couch, just enjoying the silence and peace of their home. "Eleanor, do you regret anything? The suffering I went through?" "No, because it made me stronger." "The lies I believed?" "No, because they taught me to value the truth." "And you?" "I regret not having fought harder for our first marriage, letting work consume our time together, not noticing the manipulations around us. But you learned, Sebastian. Today you're a present husband and father. Today our family is your priority. And it always will be." 5 years have passed since the day Sebastian found Eleanor sleeping on the street. Theodore was 6 years old, a smart and cheerful boy who loved helping at the program for pregnant women. Beatrice was 3 years old and was the little princess of the house, full of personality. The program they created had become a national reference. Over 1,000 women had already been helped, and many of them now worked as volunteers, helping other women in similar situations. "Eleanor, there's something I want to propose to you," Sebastian said on a Sunday morning. "What is it?" "How about we expand the program to other states?" "Really? You'd do that?" "I would. Our model works. Other cities need this kind of help. It would be incredible to help even more women." "Then it's settled. I'll start working on the expansion on Monday." Theodore, who had been listening to the conversation, came closer. "Daddy, Mummy, are you going to help more babies?" "That's right, son," Sebastian replied. "Can I help too?" "Of course you can. You're already a great helper." Beatrice, not wanting to be left out, shouted from the living room, "I want to help the babies too." "Everyone's going to help," Eleanor said, laughing. That afternoon, they received an unexpected visit. Christopher, the shelter volunteer who had helped Eleanor during her pregnancy. "Christopher!" Eleanor exclaimed, hugging him. "What a wonderful surprise! Eleanor, you look beautiful. And these must be Theodore and Beatrice." "Yes, they are. Kids, come meet Uncle Christopher. He helped Mommy a lot when you were in her belly." Christopher had become a social worker and worked with at-risk families. "Eleanor, I heard about your program. It's incredible what you've managed to build." "Thank you, Christopher. I've never forgotten your kindness during those difficult days. Actually, I came here with a proposal. How about we join forces? I can bring in some families that need help." "That would be great," Sebastian said. "The more people involved, the more lives we can transform." That night, after Christopher had left and the children were asleep, Sebastian and Eleanor talked about how their lives had completely changed. "Remember when you found me on that sidewalk?" Eleanor asked. "How could I forget? It was the most important day of my life. Why? Because it was the day I discovered that true love overcomes any obstacle. It was the day I understood that family isn't about having a perfect life, but about facing the imperfections together. And it was the day I discovered that I was never truly alone," Eleanor finished. "Even in the hardest moments, Our love still existed, waiting for a chance to bloom again. You know what the most beautiful part of all this is? What? That our story didn't end that day on the sidewalk. In fact, it was just the beginning of an even more beautiful story. Theodore appeared in the living room, rubbing his eyes. "Daddy, Mommy, I can't sleep." "Come here, my love," Eleanor said, opening her arms. Theodore nestled between his parents on the couch. "Daddy, when I grow up, I want to help people like you do." "Of course you can, son, but you know what the most important thing you can do to help people is?" "What?" "To truly love. To love even when it's hard, even when people make mistakes, even when it seems impossible. Like you two love each other." "Exactly like we love each other," Eleanor confirmed, kissing the boy's forehead. Beatrice appeared at the living room door, clutching her teddy bear. "I can't sleep either," she said with a sleepy, whiny voice. "Come here, princess," Sebastian said, making room on the couch. Now the whole family was gathered on the couch, huddled together in a cozy tangle of legs and arms. "Now it's perfect," Sebastian said, looking around at his family. "Daddy," Theodore said, drowsy, "tell us a story." "What story do you want to hear?" "The story of how you two met." Sebastian looked at Eleanor, who smiled and nodded. "Once upon a time there was a very rich man, but a very lonely one," Sebastian began. "He thought money was the most important thing in the world, until he met an incredible woman who taught him that love was the greatest treasure of all." "And did they get married?" Beatrice asked. "They did get married, but then they separated because they forgot to take care of the love they felt for each other." "But did they get back together?" Theodore wanted to know. "They did," Eleanor continued the story. "After going through many hardships, they discovered that true love never disappears. It just stays hidden, waiting for the right time to appear again." "And they had beautiful children," Sebastian added, tickling them both. "And did they live happily ever after?" Beatrice asked. "They are living happily ever after," Eleanor corrected, "because happiness isn't a destination. It's a choice we make every day." "Every day I choose to love you all," Sebastian said, holding his family even tighter. "And we choose to love you too, Dad," Theodore said. "And Mom too," Beatrice added. They stayed there, embraced on the couch, until the children fell asleep. Then Sebastian carried Theodore to his room, and Eleanor took Beatrice. "Another blessed day," Eleanor sighed as they returned to the living room. "You know what amazes me most about all this?" Sebastian said. "What?" "How we managed to turn one of the worst experiences of our lives into the foundation of our happiness. It's that sometimes we need to get lost to truly find ourselves. And sometimes we need to almost lose everything to discover what really matters." They embraced right there, in the middle of the living room of their simple but love-filled home, surrounded by the children's toys and the memories of a family that had been rebuilt on stronger foundations than before. "Sebastian, what do you think will happen to us 10 years from now?" "I think we'll have grey hair, a few more wrinkles, and we'll be even more in love with each other." "And our children?" "Theodore will be a teenager, probably giving us a hard time, and Beatrice will be a beautiful, stubborn young lady just like her mother." "And our support program?" "It will have helped thousands of families across the whole country. It will be our legacy." "Our legacy isn't the projects we created, Sebastian." "It isn't?" "No. Our legacy is our children. It's the values we're teaching them. It's the love they'll carry into their own families one day." "You're right," he said, kissing her. "Our children are our greatest work, and our love story is proof that it's worth fighting for what truly matters." That night, before going to sleep, Sebastian looked out the bedroom window and saw the stars shining in the dark sky. He thought about how his life had completely changed since that day he ran into Eleanor on the street. He had lost a rich, superficial fiancée, but he had rediscovered the great love of his life. He had lost the admiration of some fellow businessman, but he had gained the respect of his own conscience. He had lost nights of sleep taking care of babies, but he had gained the joy of being a father. "What are you thinking about?" Eleanor asked, snuggling into his arms. "I'm thinking I'm the luckiest man in the world." "Why?" "Because I have the most beautiful family in the universe, a life purpose that fulfills me, and the certainty that true love can overcome anything. Anything at all? Anything. Lies, manipulation, separations, financial struggles, social judgment. Our love went through all of that and came out stronger. And it will keep facing challenges, Eleanor reminded him. Life doesn't stop testing us, but now we know we can face any storm as long as we face it together. Together, she repeated, kissing him. Forever, he completed. The end of the story. Now tell me, what did you think of this emotional story? Do you believe true love can overcome any obstacle? Leave your opinion in the comments and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories.